Okay, the next one. We had a great time on our holiday. Now, are we talking in the first or the third person here? Well, remember, when we use we, it is two people, but we are one of them, okay? So there are two people, like my mom and I am one of those people. So therefore, we is a pronoun, a personal pronoun that we use for the first person. We had a great time on our holiday because the holiday was ours that we went on. Okay, could you pause the video now and have a look at the next two sentences? So they were wearing their coats outside and I had pizza for my dinner last night. Can you decide if these are in the first or the third person? Pause the video now and have a think. Okay, year two. So let's go through them together. They were wearing their coats outside. Now, am I talking about myself? No, I'm not, am I? I'm talking about more than one person, but I am not one of them. Because remember, if I'm one of them, I use we. But I'm talking about they. So there's more than one person, but I'm not one of them. So am I talking in the first person about myself or the third person about other people? Yes, that's right. I'm talking in the third person because I'm talking about other people and they are wearing their coats outside because the coats belong to them. Okay, the last one. I had pizza for my dinner last night. Now, can you see the personal pronoun I? Well, this sentence is saying what I had for dinner last night, not what somebody else had for dinner, what I had for dinner. So therefore, I'm talking about myself. So it is in the first person. I had pizza for my dinner. The dinner belonged to me. It was my dinner. So I had pizza for my dinner last night, which is in the first person. Well done if you got those right. Now, here is a piece of text which is taken from a letter from Florence Nightingale to her family. Let me read it for you. I made sure my nurses did not see me upset and immediately found the doctor in charge. He seemed a little annoyed by our presence, but it quickly became clear that there were poor supplies, not only of blankets, beds and medicine, but also of food. This I quickly put right, and with my nurses we cleaned and scrubbed the hospital until it shone like a new penny. Thankfully, the supplies have started to arrive now, and we are able to care for our brave soldiers and, in many cases, nurse them back from their wounds. Sadly, there are many that are still dying from disease. Okay, now we are going to look through this little bit of the letter and find the first person pronouns and the third person pronouns. So let's start together. I made sure my nurses. Now, are there any pronouns there? Well, yes. Can you see there's I and there's my nurses? Now, is that talking about myself or is that talking about somebody else? Yes, we are talking about ourselves because we've used the personal pronoun I. And then the nurses belong to me. They are my nurses. So again, I am talking about myself. So I've used another pronoun in the first person. I made sure my nurses did not see me upset. Did not see me upset. Can you see the object pronoun there? Me. Is that an object pronoun? Look at the bottom that we use with the first person or the third person. Well, I can use with the first person, I, me, or we. So therefore, that is the first person. So I made sure my nurses did not see me upset and immediately found the doctor in charge. Okay, he seemed a little annoyed by our presence. Okay, he seemed a little annoyed. Am I talking about myself or am I talking about somebody else? Yes, that's right. I'm talking about somebody else. I'm talking about the doctor. And look, he is one of the pronouns that we can use in the third person. So therefore, we are using the third person for he. Doesn't seem to want to highlight, but that is a third person pronoun, he. He seemed a little annoyed by our presence. Now, our presence. So I am one of those people, because Florence Nightingale was one of the people that he was annoyed with. But then there were other nurses as well. So that is we. And he was annoyed by our presence. Is that a first person or a third person pronoun? Yes, you're right. It's our presence. And that I am one of those people. So therefore, that is a first person pronoun. But it quickly became clear that there were poor supplies, not only of blankets, beds and medicine, but also of food. Now, what I'd like you to do is pause the video and see if you can find all of the first person and third person pronouns in the rest of the paragraph. Okay, Year 2, so let's go through it. Let's start with this I quickly put right and with my nurses. This I quickly put right. I quickly put right. Am I writing about myself or am I writing about somebody else? Yes, that's right. I am writing about myself. So therefore, I is in the first person. It's one of the pronouns that we can use in the first person. This I quickly put right and with my nurses. Now the nurses belong to me, remember? I brought them over to Scutari. So therefore, my is in the first person. My nurses. Now we cleaned and scrubbed the hospital until it shone like a new penny. We cleaned and scrubbed the hospital. Now, am I one of those people? Well, yes. I am writing as Florence Nightingale, and I am one of the people that cleaned and scrubbed the hospital. So therefore, we is the first person because I'm talking about myself. And look, we is one of the first person pronouns. Okay, thankfully the supplies have started to arrive now and we are able to care. We are able to care. Now again, remember, I am one of those people. I am Florence Nightingale and I am one of those people who is able to care. So therefore, again, that is in the first person, isn't it? It is one of our first person pronouns. We are able to care for our brave soldiers. Oh, so our brave soldiers. Now they belong to us. And I am one of those people. So again, that is in the first person for our brave soldiers. And in many cases, nurse them back from their wounds. Now, their wounds. Do the wounds belong to me? No, they don't, do they? Who has the wounds? Yes, the soldiers have the wounds, don't they? So therefore there, I'm talking about somebody else. So I need to use the third person and there is one of our third person pronouns. Okay, last sentence. Sadly, there are many that are still dying from disease. So there we go. We haven't got a pronoun in that sentence, so we don't need to worry about that sentence. And as I said, he and there are third person. We are talking in the third person when we use the pronouns he and their. So look at all of those first person pronouns that I found in this very short paragraph. And that's because it's from a letter. And when we write a letter, we write about ourselves, don't we? So we're always going to write in the first person. Except if we're, for example, describing the soldiers, we can say they were or he was, okay? That's the only time in a letter when we would use the third person. But when we're talking about RX, we use the first person. Now, your task. You have got a paragraph and the paragraph is written in the third person, but it's part of a letter. So we want to have it in the first person. So let's have a look at the first little bit together. And then on your resource for Year 2 English 2nd of February resource, you have the rest of this paragraph where you need to circle all of the places that you need to change and change them to first person. So Florence Nightingale is writing. Florence Nightingale is writing. Now, Florence Nightingale is the person writing this letter. So is she going to refer to herself as Florence Nightingale? No, she's not, is she? What is she going to refer to herself as? She's going to say I, isn't she? So we're going to say I. Now, I am writing to let you know of her safe passage to Turkey. Now, if I'm writing as Florence Nightingale Am I going to say her safe passage to Turkey? No, I'm not, because I'm not talking about somebody else's safe passage to Turkey. I'm talking about my own safe passage to Turkey. So therefore, what am I going to use instead of her? You're right. I'm going to use my, aren't I? I am writing to you to let you know of my safe passage to Turkey. Then the next personal pronoun that we have is they. They arrived safely on the 4th of November. They arrived safely on the 4th of November. Well, who is they? Florence Nightingale and the nurses, isn't it? So therefore, if I'm writing as Florence Nightingale, I am one of those nurses. So am I going to use they? No, I'm not. I'm going to use we, aren't I? We arrived safely on the 4th of November after their choppy and rather cramped voyage. Their choppy. Well, if I use their, I'm talking about somebody else. I'm talking about other people, not myself. So therefore, after their choppy, after our choppy and rather cramped voyage on the ship. So we arrived safely on the 4th of November after our choppy and rather cramped voyage on the ship. Can you see how I've changed? So I've got I am writing, my safe passage, we arrived, and after our choppy and rather cramped voyage on the ship. So I've changed this from the third person, so I'm talking about Florence Nightingale as though I'm not her, to the first person where I am Florence Nightingale and I am writing the letter. So remember, the pronouns that you can use are I, my, me, mine, we are, or us. Okay, so now on your resource, you have the rest of this passage from a letter. So you need to highlight all of the third person that you can see and change them to first person using the pronouns that we have looked at for first person. Well, fantastic. Well done, you two. You've been excellent in our lesson today. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in our next English lesson. Bye.